So I'm sure there's a number of people who are saying, wait, who's Keyshawn Vaughn? I'm not sure I know who that is. Well, that's kind of why I'm making this video. So he's someone I was a little bit excited about heading into this season, seeing what he could do, because he was a third-round pick from Vanderbilt who was great in college, and a lot of times second and third round running backs do develop into pretty nice NFL players. Vaughn, it has not really done much. In fact, he's barely been able to get playing time, so it's not so much he's been looking horrible on the field, but he struggled to get playing time even. And so I want to make a video talking about why that is and what maybe he can do better, because there are some positives. So like watch this play, for example. It's a good example. There's two main things that I really like about him in the running game. So the first will be shown on a play like this. And honestly, it's the two main things that I look for in a running back, which is acceleration and vision. How explosive are you, and how well do you see the field? If you can do both of those two things well, you're probably going to have a lot of success in the NFL. And on this play, you see that that's going to be the main blocks to look at, is the left guard and left tackle, Donovan Smith and Ali Marpet, double team 91 right there for Detroit, and then Donovan Smith gets off that block, goes over to block a linebacker. And once this play starts, you notice how, okay, there is a clear gap right there. So not a difficult read so much. Really what I want to talk about in this play, and the main thing I'm going to mention, is how quickly he gets through that gap. I really just want to focus on acceleration on this play. Like watch, as you see, gets through it very good, very explosive, and you can see why, okay, like I can see why he was good in college, because he was explosive and that kind of stuff. That's a really good play, and I don't know if the other halfbacks that Tampa Bay have would have made that play, quite frankly. You also have something like this. So again, I mentioned the two things, acceleration and vision. So acceleration, check, that's great. Now let's talk about his vision. And this is a good example where it's all one-on-one matchups right at the line, and watch what happens. So as of right here, Brady takes the handoff to our right, so the right side of the screen, and Keyshawn Vaughn now is in that direction, but you look over, I put on the screen where the best gap for him to run would be. And again, it's hard to notice this in real time. You're never going to get this perfect, but if he could get through that gap, that would be really good, because you'd pick up some yards right there. And that's another one of those things that the best backs in the league, they just notice this stuff, and Keyshawn Vaughn is going to notice it. Like watch, he gets through that gap and is able to pick up some yards right off the bat. Way more yards than if he just kept running forward. So little stuff like that of getting the most yards available on the play, that's what you look for. How many more yards are you getting than if an average halfback was in there? If, someone that you just pick off the streets was there, or can you get more yards than that? And Vaughn, I think, can. When you see him do stuff like this, he can do that. And then like watch on this one, this is going to be the last play we talk about before we get into kind of some of the other stuff. But I think this is another good example of not just one trait, but two. It's going to be both of them combined. It can work into some really good plays, I think. So this is going to be, look over there. That's where the main blocks on this play are going to be. And like watch, right when it starts, you see that there is about to be a gap right there. It's, about to happen. Ali Marpet's about to block 51 right there for Detroit, which means that there is going to be a window. Not a huge one, though. He's going to have to get through it quickly. And this is where that vision paired with acceleration really comes into play. If you can spot a gap and then also get through that gap quickly, then you don't even need to spot a huge gap. You can just spot the gap that you feel like you can get through and then get through it, which is what he's going to do. Like watch, as you see, that's exactly what happens. He gets through the gap, dives forward, gets somewhat close to a touchdown there, slaps the floor. I'm not sure exactly why, but again, a very good run. Honestly, my criticisms about Keyshawn Vaughn, and I think everyone's criticisms of Keyshawn Vaughn, have very little to do with how he actually runs the football. I mean, he did have 4.2 yards per carry, so you'll take that for sure. The main two criticisms were what follows. So the first one is this one. What's going to happen is that it's going to be that he's supposed to chip Chase Young right here and then run a route, turn around, get open. That's what is supposed to happen. Also, so you know the importance of this game, this was the playoff game. This was the wild card round. And watch what's going to happen. So Young goes to the inside, meaning Vaughn has no job, but he still waits way too long and is not available for Brady to make the throw to him. This is one example you can talk about, and the reality is his receiving game just wasn't very good last year, and part of it might have been he just didn't have a ton of reps, so that might have factored in. But still, that was absolutely a very clear issue in my opinion. Again, he only had 53 pass snaps last year out of the 111 he took total, but wasn't great in them. He just wasn't. And then finally, something like this, which admittedly, this is going to be a very small sample size type thing. But what's going to happen is that, again, I'm not going to break down the whole running concept and all that stuff because it's not really important. Just watch Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet, two very good offensive linemen who are going to do very good things on this play. Like, watch, as you see, they do clear out just a huge gap right there. This is very easy for Vaughn to get through. And again, really very little about this play is actually going to be what I'm going to talk about. You might even remember this play because it was a big play in this game. Watch what Vaughn does. He's going to run forward and he's going to fumble the football. And that just can't really happen, especially when it's not like he even really got stripped of the football. He just kind of lost it, which that's an issue. And you don't want to have that happen. I mean, you can deal with the occasional fumble if it was like a good strip, and sometimes it does happen. Even the best in the league do occasionally fumble the football. It is what it is to some degree, but he fumbled the football twice in his not that many snaps. He only had 26 carries and still fumbled the ball twice. That's not very good. You can't be doing that. And this was basically the end for Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, he put the ball on the ground and they said, okay, you're done. We can't give you postseason snaps if we're afraid that you're going to lose the football. So hopefully what happens with Vaughn, here is the pathway to greatest success for Vaughn. There will be a preseason, and the hope is that with the preseason, he's able to just kind of, get better at some of this stuff, get a little bit more reps in at the pass game, and more importantly, just don't fumble the football. Whatever you do, find a way to not fumble the football. That's how you're going to get some playing time, because right now he has to focus on get on the field as much as possible, and then once he can do that, he can work on some of these smaller things. But you can't get on the field if you fumble the football. So hopefully he has a good preseason and he can clean up this other stuff, because if you can become a decent blocker, become a decent pass catcher, and not fumble the football, his running game is maybe the best that Tampa Bay has. I mean, Rojo is good too, but of course Ronald Jones, also a guy who he's great at running the football, but struggles with the passing game and really struggles with blocking. For Vaughn, the blocking wasn't really like a noticeable issue. According to Pro Football Focus, he only had 20 blocking snaps as a whole. But again, according to their grades, he was good in them. So I haven't gone back and watched every single pass blocking snap he had, admittedly, but apparently he was good in it. So I'll take their word for it. And, from what I had seen, it does look pretty good. And the running part of the game is good. Like, really, all he has to do is focus on not fumbling the football and getting a little bit better at pass catching. He could potentially have some potential here, which, it's interesting because usually halfbacks, if they don't do good their first year, they just don't do good. Maybe he'll be the exception. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to it, hoping for the best of him. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.